Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have the CEO and director of Slave Lake Zinc, Ritch Wigham. He's going to share his thoughts on what the major drivers of zinc's long-term growth are, a potential zinc shortage, soaring energy prices impacting base metals, as well as he's going to give us an update on Slave Lake Zinc. But before we bring him on, do me one quick favor and just go ahead and smash that subscribe button below me there if you like videos like these. Hey, Ritch, welcome to The Dive.
Thank you, Cassandra. Appreciate it.
Okay, so let's start off with zinc. The primary use of zinc is in the galvanizing process, which
Right.
protects iron and steel from rusting, as you know. It can also be used in other metal products, rubber, and even in medicine. What industry do you think will drive zinc's long-term growth?
Zinc is becoming the storage material for solar power and other friendly power sources, whether it's wind or solar or what have you, because there's a real problem with storage. Like the batteries that are currently available are fine, but they don't store particularly long term. And apparently zinc is a very good storage material. And so there's the reason that the Trudeau government, when listing the critical metals that they felt Canada had to really safeguard, zinc was one of those metals. And so not only is it important for industry, building, construction, mega projects, anything that's got steel in it, of course, is galvanized nowadays, but it's also for the go forward uses where it looks like that will be a chosen metal for electricity storage for grids and other applications.
How do you see zinc developing over time, and what does this mean for supply and availability in the future?
The thing with zinc that people don't realize, especially for North American purposes, is that 60% of the zinc comes out of China. It's small operations, it's dirty operations. A lot of that is trying to be altered, but more importantly, the Western world supply of zinc is now really kind of very tight. There's not a lot of stuff in the pipeline, except we're going to be one of the, I think, significant sources and significant contributors to the pipeline that is important, to North America specifically, Canada most importantly, but also to the Western world, as opposed to the domination of the other parts of the world. And I don't like to use phrases on who's who and what's what. People can figure out what I'm saying.
So from a miner standpoint, do you think a potential shortage will underpin a surge in zinc prices?
I do. I do. The zinc is a byproduct for the most part of mining operations in North America. There really aren't too many primary zinc scenarios, and so the couple that are there, have implicit problems that I don't need to go into. But they're not necessarily going to be able to come online to satisfy the needs, of what's going on out there. Our neighbor, Cisco Metals, is probably one of the more likely contributors to that pipeline, and I'm not sure exactly where they stand this moment on going back into production, but they've got a good opportunity there. And as I say, they're a neighbor of ours, so we're a friendly group, and they're a friendly group.
What impact do soaring energy prices have on base metals?
From a production standpoint, it becomes much more expensive. Most mines are operated not on a hydro basis or a renewable energy type of basis, which we will be if we get to the production phase. Our situation is really going to be very ESG, shall we say, or green friendly, because the Tolston run-of-river hydro, which is a significant hydro producer, is only a few kilometers literally away from us, and the power lines that will be coming from that hydro facility are going to come very, very close to our property. So we'll be able to use that as our source, where most mines are diesel or that kind of generation, which is really unfortunate because they're stuck in the middle of somewhere where there isn't access usually to the kind of power source that we'll be able to use.
Could you give us the high-level overview of Slave Lake Zinc?
Well, if you're talking about what our objectives are, we just recently made a new. I don't like to use the word discovery necessarily, because our property is within a tremendous corridor. We've flown it on 50-meter spacing for 900 line kilometers, and 5 kilometers from the original head frame source, which is where the old guys back in the 50s were going to produce. We have similar mineralization on strike with where we are. We also are quite comfortable if we can once we get back on the ground on a full prospecting proper coverage type of situation, we're going to have the potential for maybe up to 9-10 kilometers of mineralization in our hydrothermal environment. So the kind of looking over top overview is that I've heard it commented that it looks like we may well have a sea of zinc, literally, on the property, and we'll develop towards that end, but we've got to do it in proper stages, and that's what we're working on now.
We went through your company presentation and saw the expanded land package.
Yes.
Could you shed some more light on this, and what does this mean?
Well, that land package was generated through several years, a few years of talks and good relationships with the Northwest Territory Métis Nation and the other Indigenous groups in the South Slave. And we're very proud of what we've done to get to that point, to our point, because we have a collaboration agreement with the Northwest Territory Métis Nation that allows us to go to a feasibility study before we negotiate then impacts and so on. But most juniors never even get close to where we are before they think they can go ahead on things. And so we're well advanced on where we stand on our relationships with the local communities and the people that are in those communities.
You mentioned the company has signed a collaboration agreement with the Northwest Territory Métis Nation to facilitate exploration of O'Connor Lake. Can you walk us through the agreement, and what does this mean for both parties?
Well, it allows us to go, basically to the level of production, which means that we're going to be past spending, $100+ kind of $1 million to get to that level. And so what it allows us is to, be in a situation where we're on very positive terms to develop the property to a level that then it would be, the next step would be a production decision, at which point there would be a further set of negotiations for impact and benefits for the communities, et cetera, from there. So what we have is a really open positive agreement that I can't go into specifics because it's a private agreement, and we're not allowed to give out that. And I'll quickly say why. If I was to discuss what was in that collaboration agreement specifically, for what we have, how we did it, and what we're getting, what the individuals and the groups on the other side are getting, then the next time somebody comes along to negotiate with them, it kind of messes up their ability to properly negotiate what is the terms they would like and the terms they need, and it's not a fair thing to do. So nobody wants to have somebody come and compare what we've got as an agreement with something they want to do themselves. It kind of makes it, unfair to the Métis nation as well as other indigenous groups that are around, because we have good relations with everyone in the area at this point, and we certainly don't want to disrupt anything that they're doing in other areas. The thing to remember, Cassandra, in the areas that we're in, the communities are very old and historic communities. These aren't new towns that have sprung up for one reason or another, and they recognize, and small communities everywhere recognize, if you don't have employment and something for a future, then your younger people just leave. They don't. Your communities die. And so, one of the things that we're, going to be involved is hopefully going forward is to help the communities with employment opportunities and training opportunities. And, first right of refusal goes for anything we do, is part of that agreement. And I can, that part I can say because that's what it should be. And so, if we need a 6-man camp to do certain things, and we'll talk to our friends in those communities to see if they can supply the manpower first. And that's how that that's why it's a collaboration agreement.
Could you also tell us about the status and strategy of your fieldwork?
Well, we can start drilling tomorrow morning if we want to. We have permits for that. We have a water license. We have all the necessary requirements to move forward with that. So our field work hopefully will go along the lines of really proving all of the dozens of potential sites that we have on the property. But I think once we start drilling, the drill will continue, but we will have groundwork being done, proper prospecting, proper mapping, proper structure delineation, etc., that will happen this coming spring, summer, fall. But we hope to, if we can, maybe get the drilling going sooner than that, to because we have targets on the original property that are really, really, really important targets that we can start drilling with right away. And so once again, I think once we start drilling this property, it'll continue drilling until whenever, and it will be long past me being possibly involved. So it's a tremendous opportunity.
So why do you think that the company has the potential to be a significant base metal producer?
Well, because I think we've got we've moved in the category from being a 0 to 10 million ton situation to a 10 to 100 million ton. We're not a porphyry, so we're not talking billions of tons necessarily, but we have got the potential to be a very, very, very significant zinc lead deposit, or several deposits rather, including the potential for other metals involved. The property is pretty good size, and it hasn't been fully covered, but we've got historic sniffs of things that really we can't kind of use because they're historic, and the rules don't allow us to really deal with that very much, because they need to be reproven on a modern basis. So
Okay.
we've got lots of room to do a lot of things.
Okay, perfect. So one more question before we let you go here. What are the key timelines or potential catalysts shareholders should be watching out for as we head into 2023?
Well, just keep your eye on us. Just keep your eye on us. I'm not going to. The problem with the question you're asking me is all the people out there that are short-term thinkers and they're looking for some sort of trade, or want to do this or that. Own our company. We've got huge potential. We got blue sky like nobody else, but we've already got everything else in place. Nobody's got what we've got. We've got our permits. We've got a collaboration agreement with the local community. We deserve to be a company that's not just a trade. And I'm not going to give you like timeline trade things. That's kind of counter to what our objectives are.
Well, thanks so much for coming on today and sharing your story with us, Ritch.
Cassandra, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. If you're a fan of small cap news, don't forget to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel before you leave us. Bye.